Hello and welcome to Neuroshambles, the podcast that aims to shine a light into some of the murkier corners of what it's like to parent neurodivergent kids. I'm Mark Allen, and every episode I'm going to be swapping stories with my guests about some of the frankly ludicrous nonsense we have to deal with on a daily basis. So, if you're anything like me and you're feeling frazzled, overwhelmed and pretty much an outcast from polite society, join me. Hello and welcome to episode 51 of Neuroshambles. As always, it's a pleasure to have some moments of your very precious time, Neuroshamblers. I know firsthand how tricky it is to do anything for yourself in a neuroshambolic household, so I'm absolutely honoured that once more you're choosing to spend that time with me. Hopefully you're going to be well rewarded, as I've got another cracking episode ahead with a long-awaited topic of the week. We'll also be looking at some more Neurodiversity Champions, tiny epic wins, and a couple of what the flip moments that genuinely had me crying with laughter, so look out for that. Alright, what are we waiting for? Let's have it.
Meet the guest.
So this week's guest is someone I was first introduced to back in November 2024 when we both collaborated on a book called The Journey into Send Fatherhood, which was a book that had 14 chapters, each written by a different dad of neurodivergent kids and giving an unfiltered perspective of our unique experiences. While we were writing it, there was a pretty lively WhatsApp chat going on at the time, and I made a mental note to try and get him on as a podcast guest when he wasn't frantically trying to finish his own chapter of the book. So here we are. He also appears on the socials regularly as the husband of the wonderful Lisa Lloyd, otherwise known as ASD with a G and T, who was a Neuroshambles guest back in episode 25. I am delighted to be able to welcome to the show, it's Terry Lloyd. How you doing, Terry?
I'm all right. Can we please refer to me as just the husband? That would be perfect.
It's the husband.
The husband. Thank you. Yes.
I have noticed you creeping into the socials more and more recently.
Well, they happen like in the room that I'm in the most. So
yeah, you can't get
out
out
of it. Hover and no, like I was innocently ironing today, and I got dragged into something about my balls. So there we go.
With any neurodivergent household, you just got to go with the flow, don't you?
Just roll with it. Yep.
Absolutely.
Just like, okay, this is happening. Cool. Okay, let's go.
So, for people who aren't aware of the setup that you have at home, because obviously Lisa took us through it last time, just remind us of the neurodivergencies at play in your household, Terry.
Okay. So my son Finn has been diagnosed with autism. My daughter also has autism. We have a number of additional sort of subgenres, shall we say, of autism.
Bonus features,
yes. Extended extra content for her. And my wife also has been diagnosed with autism, and I've diagnosed her with ADHD just because of her ping pong consciousness is something that we have to work with.
I love that phrase. I had to edit our conversation, and she definitely has ADHD.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you are an undiagnosed neurotypical, would you say?
I don't. Lisa's convinced. I think I just have some things that I like, some ways that I like to be, and when things get in the way of that, it vexes me. And
yeah, it's fine.
That's it. That's all it is.
Well, So thanks for introducing me to your setup, Terry. There's lots I want to cover in this episode, so let's crack on with it.
What's the topic of the week?
So this is an episode that I've been wanting to do for quite a long time now, because it's a topic that I don't think is talked about a great deal, and it's one that's particularly close to my heart, and that is what it's like to parent neurodivergent kids from a father's perspective. Because for many reasons, I think dads of SEND kids go through a very different journey to the mums. So I wanted to highlight some of the particular challenges that men face when learning how to parent their neurodivergent kids and maybe try and unpick why that is. I will add a disclaimer here that I'm aware that what we're talking about doesn't just apply to men and dads. obviously gender roles and parenting dynamics come in all shapes and sizes. So it would probably be more appropriate to talk about secondary caregivers. And of course, that is not uniquely restricted to men. People of all gender identities are also included in that. But that said, I think it's fair to say that what we're going to be discussing in this episode is predominantly experienced by dads. So that's the broad distinction I'm choosing to make at this point, if only to save me having to tie myself in knots, having to caveat everything that we talk about. So forgive me for that, but it's just going to make things a lot easier. Okay, now that bit's out of the way, let's wade into it, Terry. I think we should kick things off by acknowledging that in nearly all cases that I've experienced, that I've talked to people about, when it comes to realising that our kids are neurodivergent, dads are almost always late to the party.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair to say?
I think that's extremely fair to say. I mean, I was late for a number of reasons. I think some of it, and I've spoken to Lisa about this, I think some of it is we just don't spend as much time. Usually, again, I'm making vast generalizations.
Yeah.
We are usually the primary breadwinner. We're usually the one that goes back to work.
Yeah.
And we just don't see a lot of the children's development and their interactions with peers and their growth.
Yeah.
That and the other. We just don't see any of that.
That is true. Because obviously we'd spend less time with the kids typically. As I say, you know, that is a generalization, but typically dads spend less time with the kids in the early years for a number of reasons. I mean, there's, you know, the fact that mums typically get maternity leave, and paternity leave is probably not as widely taken. So they're around in the early years. And there's also, you know, frustratingly, the gender pay gap, which we have to acknowledge that men,
absolutely,
it's fucked up.
Yeah,
but men
it's a reality.
Tend to be earning more, so therefore it makes more financial sense for the dads to work more. So this typically then means that the mums spend more time with the kids, and they have more evidence to go on.
Yeah, 100%. They're immediately immersed in the world of childcare, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They're
absolutely.
going to groups. They're seeing other kids of the same age. For me, I had society's view of what kids do, and that was it.
Yes,
that was all I knew. I had this is how kids are, just sort of imposed upon me by media and I've no idea. I've seen kids on TV.
They're all maniacs, right? So you've got nothing.
And that's me. And whenever you interact with kids, they're running around. It's usually other people's kids that are out of the house, and they're running around and being crazy. And it's like, well, you know, kids do weird stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think especially when it's your first kid, you've got nothing to compare it to.
Your point of reference is your child.
Yeah, and it's like, well, that's perfectly reasonable. I mean, it's
perfectly normal.
It's a bit odd, but then kids are.
Yeah.
Right. Also, you mentioned sort of seeing them around other kids, and I think that's a crucial one, is that we, as you say, we're parachuted into our home environment and the kids there, and, you know, that's fine. You've only got them as a frame of reference. But when the mums take them to toddlers groups, or they take them to soft play or something like that, they start to see our children interact with their peers and people of the same age, and they start to notice that difference. Whereas we, as the dads, don't have that context early on.
No, I think Lisa was very, like, looking back at it now, obviously at the time you're in it, you don't notice it's happening until afterwards, but like Lisa was just suddenly a part of this network of other mums.
Yes.
And some of those mums already had, like, some of those mums that had kids the same age already had kids that were older.
Yes.
So they're suddenly connected to this network of parenting.
Yes.
They're suddenly a part of this, and they've got all these connections, all these points of reference suddenly flooded with all this information, and we've still got, it's my little baby, that's all it is, and that's all we've got. But their frame of reference is magnitude wider than ours almost immediately.
You know, for transparency, I spent a day a week parenting in the early days. So I worked 4 days and I had a day. I say off. Obviously, it wasn't off. It's harder than work. But I had a day with Jay in the early days. So I take him to toddler group. So I did start to notice it, and I think that made a kind of a difference when it came to having those conversations later on. But I will say that it did take me a lot longer to notice that. I think maybe another part of that is that there's an element of denial there, I think, and I don't know if that's a typically male thing or a dad thing of just not wanting to admit that there's a vulnerability there. Or
there is obviously an argument, and I think it probably does come into play that it is a sort of a masculist thing where it's my child. Of course they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Of course everything's going to be right because they're my child. Geezer bloke. There is, I think, an element of that, but I do think some of it does come from. It's not so much. I don't know if it's necessarily denial, as much as it's just you will always believe that something is normal until proven otherwise.
Yes.
In that circumstance, you'll always perceive what you have seen as normal. Things become normalised ridiculously quickly.
Yes, but where that comes into problems is when your partner or the other parent is saying, "I think there's something a little bit different."
Absolutely.
That's where, with certainly it took me a lot longer to see that than Tam. So Tam would say, I think socially he's really struggling, and I didn't see that. I was like, nah, he's really independent, because I'd see him at a social, at like a toddler group, and what you'd do is you'd sit them all in a toddler group. What they would have at the end is they'd have a story or a sing song, and everyone would sit in a big circle, and all the kids would sit on their grown-ups' laps, right?
You're about to tell me a story I already know, but yeah, go on.
Right. Jay did not sit on my lap. Right.
I'm not listening to this shit.
No.
Bye.
No. If he was going to sit on anyone's lap, it was the person leading the group. Right? So he'd march over there and just plug himself down. I'm looking like some kind of idiot.
Buddy?
Do you know what I mean? On my own, going.
I do have a child here. That one's mine over there.
I'm getting some very funny looks from the mums.
I didn't just turn up, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not just here for the vibe.
So he'd go and plug himself on their lap. Either that, or he'd just wander around the middle of the circle, doing his own thing in his own little world. And this
that's exactly what Finn did. He just. I'm not. This is not.
Yeah, you do you guys. I'm gonna
stuff. Yeah, if this is what you want to spend your time doing, that's up to you. I'm gonna go over there because some cool blocks.
Not
there.
my bag, guys.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure I saw some Lego in that bag. So
yeah.
Catcher.
So in the early days, I put that down to just like social confidence. I was like, he's not going to go along with the crowd. He's independent, right? He's just doing his own thing.
Because you do that work to normalise it.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You just do that work to normalise their behaviour because you don't have a lot of points of reference. And
you don't want to believe it,
right? You don't want to, you kind of just, if you've got the option of believing there's something that is, at the time, has connotation of negativity or something that's positive, you will always choose the positive answer.
Yes.
It's not that they're struggling socially. They don't need to be part of that because they're, like you say, because they're independent, because they're strong-willed. They don't need that. It's not that they can't do it. They don't want it.
Yeah, exactly. They're choosing to opt out, and I love that. But then Tam sort of came to me with these concerns early on, and I just brushed it off. Like I didn't completely dismiss it. I didn't go like, "Nah, there's nothing wrong with him. You're raving mad." But I was just like, it's a bit early to tell. Let's not jump to conclusions. Let's see how this pans out.
I was exactly the same. You do. Are you sure you're not just over comparing? Because this is the other thing as well, and this is where a bit of misogyny does come in. This is from society generally. Is mums get a bit hysterical, don't they? Bit dramatic,
a bit emotional.
Bit emotional, exactly. Yeah, emotions are all over the place. Don't take it with a pinch of salt. That comes to you from the outside.
Yeah. And absolutely.
And it's that sort of simulacrum of what mums are like, and it's the same as this simulacrum of what kids are like.
Yes.
This sort of expectation that you don't even realise you've sort of absorbed.
Yeah.
And I did exactly the same thing. I was like, look, I know things, especially because Lisa was struggling at the start. I don't think she'd have a problem with saying it. She was struggling a bit at the start.
Yeah, I think Lisa's talked about that.
Yeah, I was like, look, I know how you're feeling. I know that you're out of sorts and you're looking for a reason that you're out of sorts. And
Yes.
I understand why you're reaching for these things, but kids are kids. They grow up. I said all the things.
No, but
I said all the things.
But,
they develop in their own time. Give him a chance.
Yeah.
You know, you're thinking. I said all the things, and because some of it's denial, but some of it is, this sort of weird sort of osmotic absorption of a perception.
But that's the thing, though, right? Because we're going, let's wait for more evidence. It's like, that's only because we don't have the evidence that they have. They've got the evidence in spades.
Well, that's exactly it.
That's exactly. Give it to wait till I have more evidence.
I have all this evidence. No. That's you. I need that evidence. Yeah. And I'm not making any effort to get that evidence either. No, I'm not saying, do you know what? I'll take over that. I'll have a couple of weeks.
I'll do a load of research.
I'll get stuck in. I'm just going, no. That'd be silly. I haven't seen that, so it's not happening.
Which obviously, from a mum's perspective, is incredibly hard. Like, I only realised sort of in hindsight how difficult that is for the mums to have these concerns, and they come to you with this fear and this uncertainty, and they're met with this disbelief, I guess, or this you're invalidating what they're telling you.
It doesn't matter how nice you are about it. At the end of the day, you are sort of saying, "I don't believe that."
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how, and that's something that, again, like you say, you look back on it and go, oh yeah, that was a bit shit. At the time, I wasn't saying it like that. I wasn't saying it with that intention that I'm like, you're being crazy. But it was just a sort of like, let's just wait and see, shall we?
I think it's worth saying that in the vast, vast majority of cases where any parent suspects that their child is neurodivergent, the child is neurodivergent, typically, right?
Yes.
Because parents of neurotypicals do not have these same kind of nagging concerns because their kids fit the mold, right? Their kids sit down on their grown-up's lap when the story is being read. They do what the other kids do and what they are led to believe.
That simulacrum, they fit that.
So their children are hitting the milestones and they're presenting similarly to the others. So they're not having these questions because their children are most likely to be neurotypical. So I think it's worth saying to any dad that is listening to this, and it's also talking to myself when I was sort of in the early days.
Absolutely.
And you, and younger Terry. If your partner's opening up to you about the possibility that your child might be autistic or ADHD, don't dismiss it straight away. No. Believe them. No. Right? Yeah. Assume that unless evidence proves otherwise, rather than the other way around, right? Be open about it and curious about it and go, all right, I'll have maybe I'll do some research into it. Because I know for a fact that Tam was right for every single one of my kids. And we did it every time. Tam was like, I think Jay is autistic. I was like, nah, can't be. And then we got him diagnosed, and Tam went,
what are the chances?
And then Tam went, I think Otto's autistic. And I went, nah, there's no way, not my Otto, right? And then when Tam went, I think India might be autistic, I was like, not another one. It's like, no. And I was, I didn't push back. I was just like, oh, really?
Again.
All right, I'll believe you this time.
Yeah. I didn't believe it the first time or the second time, but this time you might have something.
And then when Tam went, I think I might be neurodivergent. I was like, I don't know anything anymore. I don't know. No. What do I know?
I don't know anything anymore.
All right.
I give up.
So I think,
whatever.
and I think in your case, Lisa was right both times, way ahead of
100%.
you, right?
Yeah. She absolutely was. And speaking to younger me, God, you poor, beautiful, you sweet summer child.
Get some sleep.
Younger me, go on, sleep now because it's never happening again. But two is, what's the worst that happens from you believing them?
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay,
they say believe them. What's the worst that happens?
Yeah, follow that train of thought.
Yeah,
right.
If it turns out to not be the case, oh well.
Great,
Okay, like you've lost nothing.
Yeah.
The sort of flip side consequence: if you don't believe them, your child's unsupported, or is only partially supported, for however long it takes you to catch up. And
just as importantly, your partner.
Your partner,
unsupported.
Exactly, is unsupported. Yeah, you are dropping the ball on that. if you just go along with it, even if you don't really think it's a thing, believe them for now.
They have
and
more
just see
evidence
where it
than you.
goes.
Let's
They
just
have more
trust
evidence
that.
than you. Just go with that, because the consequence of them being wrong is nothing.
Yeah.
The worst thing is you get to be smug about saying, "I told you you were panicking." That's the worst thing that happens, is you get to be a bit smug if they're wrong. If you're wrong, the consequences are much worse. So just believe them.
Yeah.
Be on side.
One of the other repercussions of this early experience is if you don't believe them, and if you do have that element of denial and you push back and you sort of invalidate what they're suspecting, there's an implication there that your child's challenging behavior then isn't because of any undiagnosed neurotype. It's because the mum, as the primary caregiver, is not doing a good enough job. Right? It's the way they're choosing to parent. Now, that's never kind of explicit, I think, or
No,
well, certainly not for
no.
me, and certainly I'm sure not for you. But
No.
I think
No.
other dads, I'm sure that's the case. I've heard stories where that is the case, where they're like, you're just being too easy on them. It's the way that you're being all gentle with them. You're mollycoddling them, all of that bullshit. Let's face it.
No, absolutely.
And you hear that. You hear that from ignorant strangers as well, not just co-parents.
Oh,
Going, give them me for a week and I'll sort them out. It's usually the older generation that do that. Have you heard that before?
Have I had that before?
Yeah,
we did hear that occasionally. Oh, you just need to do this. Oh, really? Oh, is it my fault? Oh, I didn't realise that. You're right. Do you know what? If only you'd brought them up, you'd have done it right, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so there's this, and you know how infuriating that is.
Now, it's rage-inducing.
And so if you think that, like in the,
but I never put myself down as one of those people.
No, of course not.
When I was sort of saying to this, I think we should give it a bit more time. Kids will be kids.
Yeah.
All that nonsense. I wasn't intending to imply that it was in any way anything that she was doing.
No.
Like you say, but it does sort of come across like that. You do sort of come across like those people. It's sort of like, well, if it's not that, then it's just me, isn't it? Like from her point of view, she's like, it's like, if it's not this thing that I'm saying it is, the only other variable is me, so it has to be my fault.
Yeah, and that again is really tough on the mums, and really,
especially when it's something that they get from, like you say, from the random strangers, from the older generations.
But it's always coming from people who have less evidence, right? And who don't know your kids. And in the early days, because as we're saying, the dads do less of the childcare, we don't have that evidence. So if you are a dad that is assuming that is the case, the implication that they're just being mollycoddled, they're just being pandered to, and they need a firmer hand is incredibly damaging, because as we know, authoritarianism and that sort of firmer hand does not work for neurodivergent kids.
It is counterproductive, to say the least. That sort of aggressive parenting, I'll put it, doesn't work for neurotypical kids, really.
No.
It teaches them fear, but that's sort of all it teaches them, really. It certainly doesn't work for neurodivergent children. It's no whole different skill set required.
Because I think mums know that approach doesn't work. And it's not because they haven't tried it. I think that, I'm sure a lot of the mums have
tried shouting.
They've tried shouting and bribery and pleading and every other fucking trick in the book.
I'll take all your fun stuff away.
Yeah. It's not like they've ruled out other options. They've tried that and they've seen the shit show it creates.
That's the thing, isn't it? And this is something that still comes up now, is people going, oh, have you tried this really obvious, simple thing that I've just thought of off the top of my head?
Like,
do you know what? Thanks, Barbara. No, I hadn't tried that. Thank God you turned up. In the last 12 years, that hadn't occurred to me.
Yeah, I'll just try insisting they wear a coat.
Yeah, of course. Why didn't I think of that? Just go to sleep. Why didn't I just say that?
Yeah. Oh, it's so simple when you look at it that way. So the reason that the gentle parenting approach is being adopted at this stage is because from trial and error and from bitter experience, it's the thing that works, right? It's not the cause of your child's dysregulation. It's what you need to do and how you need to approach them in order to reduce that dysregulation. Yeah. And people sort of looking from the outside in get it wrong, like get it the wrong way around.
It's the end point of trying all the other options.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. That's where we've ended up. That's not where we started.
Yeah, it's like, this is my last resort. And
Yeah.
at the moment, it seems to be creating the least amount of hassle.
Yeah, I don't care if I have to stick a banana up my nose and sing a song. If it works, I'm doing it because I need to sleep.
I think another of the difficulties dads have with parenting neurodivergent kids, and this is something that you alluded to earlier, is that we are inherently conditioned by society to be less nurturing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a conscious decision, but I think that people tend to be a product of their environments. And as a male growing up in the 80s, for me, probably, you know, late 80s, maybe early 90s for you, because you're a youthful fellow.
I knew I liked you.
Gender roles were a lot more rigid back in those days, and they were passed on from previous generations who have had that passed on from previous generations and generations. So, you know, the unwritten rule is that the dads are the breadwinners and the providers and the disciplinarians. Right? I know certainly when I was growing up, it would be like, wait till your dad gets home. Dad would be the shouty one. From me.
Yeah, my setup was a little bit different, but it was fundamentally the same. Yes, my dad was the one that tended to dispense justice.
And like I say, that's not something that's just inherited from your own parenting role models, but also from TV and film and books and just society.
That's the thing. It's this sort of. It's like a silhouette. It's like the ghost of. It's like the ghost of parenting past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it really is. It is, and it just hangs in the air. You don't even really realise it's there, but it hangs in the air. It's presented, like you say, in every bit of media, every story that gets told, everywhere.
Yeah.
So how can you not absorb that? How can that not shape your approach?
You do it unthinkingly, I think, initially, because it's like, well, you know...
You have nothing else to fall back on.
Yeah, you look at how you were parented. Typically, if you think you were parented well, I've made this point before, if you think you were parented well, you go, right, that worked for me. If I did something wrong, my dad would shout, there would be a punishment, and I wouldn't do it again. So that worked on me. So great, I'll take that. I'll copy and paste it onto my own parenting style, and that is obviously going to work a treat.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Of course it is. What could possibly go wrong? I shout at problems until they go away.
Exactly. So I think as a result, a lot of the dads now tended to grow up with father figures who were emotionally distant, more authoritarian, and typically more sort of work focused. This is my role in the family. Yeah. And, you know, there's a mother's role, but that generally doesn't involve shouting at me and getting all aggro if I don't do what I'm told. And this is not intended as a criticism of the fathers that preceded us, but it's an important context. It's inherited. It's inherited over time, and it's only really relatively recently that people have reflected on that and looked at much more sort of mutual co-parenting strategies and a much more equitable share of parenting roles. And that has become the paradigm, which is great. And we're part of that, and that's wonderful. Yeah. But you can't deny that a lot of what's gone before is initially picked up.
Yeah, of course it is. Because for one thing, you're going into an entirely new situation. I'm not being funny. There's a you that exists up until you have children, and there's a different you that exists afterwards.
Yeah.
And the you that exists afterwards goes in like a newborn babe to it. Like a child
like a toddler,
with no
throwing
like
tantrums.
A toddler with no fucking context at all for what's going on. All of a sudden, you're responsible for this living human.
Yeah.
What the most responsibility I've had up until now was my PlayStation. Now I've suddenly got this child that I've got to look at. I've got absolutely no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah,
I read all the parenting books in the world. Terrified. I've no idea what I'm doing. What reference point do I have?
It's the default.
I have exactly one reference point.
Yes,
I'm going to have to go with that because I don't have any other options.
Yeah,
and parenting is one of those things that's like it's constant. It's the most important thing you'll ever do. There's no breaks.
Yeah.
You've got to hit the ground running.
So you use the default option, the easiest cut and paste option. And I think, in the early days, I think the dads tend to be less gentle parenting focused, if you like, that's not to say I was an ogre, but there were times where I would get incredibly angry because Jay would not listen to me. He didn't acknowledge his name, right? So I would sort of say his name and he'd completely ignore me. And me being, someone who didn't know what was going on was like, he's ignoring me. He's being defiant. He's being rude, and he must listen to me. So then you'd shout, right? But
this is my house.
Yeah. But what I know now is that he's not. He can't. His ears aren't open to that because he's hyper focusing on whatever he's hyper focusing on. Do you know what I mean? I could let off fireworks and he wouldn't start paying attention. So it's not. It's not a slight on me. He's just doing his own thing. But obviously. Yeah. In those days, I would get cross, and then and there would be things like he'd be jumping on the sofa. And in the early days, I'd be like, get off the sofa. And then he wouldn't do it. So I'd then go and physically move him off the sofa. And then I go into the next room and then I'd turn around again. He'd be back on the sofa. And it's very easy. I think maybe there's an element of your ego being bruised a little bit, your pride being wounded, of going, I have no authority in this house and I've been led to expect that as the dad, I am the supreme authority.
I'm the boss. How dare you?
Yeah.
I mean, so the parenting style that I was exposed to was the key sort of elements were not necessarily aggression, although that does come up, the yelling, the waving finger and all that, but a lot of it was exasperation and sort of the inflicting of guilt or shame for behaviours. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if I did something wrong, it would be exasperation, disappointment. And that is something that I did.
Yes.
I never thought I would, but that is something that I did. When I didn't get angry, I was just like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And I would get, it was anger, but it was coming out as this sort of exasperated disappointment.
Yeah.
And that is something that I to this day have to watch myself for, because it's such an ingrained thing that, and Lisa says to me, like, you can't do that because it's making it worse. Your face, she says, your face is being more horrible than you are. Because my face would be like, oh, because that's my initial reaction.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm a thinking, conscious human being, so I can then rein that in and go, you are being unreasonable.
But you have to unlearn that. That's the thing.
That's the thing.
Exactly,
it's
with
constantly
me.
Unlearning it.
So I was parented from and my dad is wonderful. Like, I have a great relationship with my dad, but he was a shouty dad. He shouted a lot. So that was my default that when I started, and you have to unlearn that. Because that, now, or we know from experience, that has a really negative effect on any situation with our neurodivergent kids.
Yeah.
So you have to unlearn that instinct, and it is an instinct, I think.
It is. Yeah, it is. And it still catches, like I said, because it's an instinct, it still catches. If something catches me unaware, it's still my default, and I have to. It's a conscious effort to not react like that, and adjust my behaviour to make the situation better, not worse.
Yes. Yeah. So then you sort of, you collect yourself and you reapproach and say, yeah, exactly. I'm just going to leave the room for a second. I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
and then
go
come
into
back
another room, grab a pillow.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Right. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Everybody right?
Right. Good. So I think this sort of assumption that there is almost like a hierarchy, a parenting hierarchy, is a thing I had to unlearn quite early on, is that I'm the boss and what I say goes, and I don't have to explain myself to you because you're a child and I'm the parent. And that was very much the dynamic in my household when I was growing up, and was one that I implemented very, very early on until it wasn't working. And then because you then end up fighting against that all the time. I found myself having these battles over shit that don't really matter. Do you know what I mean? Like you'd find yourself picking arguments just for the sake of asserting your authority. I think that's a very male thing.
Absolutely.
I didn't find Tam doing that at all. I don't know. Did Lisa do any of that shit?
No. That is, I think, a uniquely masculine perspective, I think. And again, it is a learned thing, because even as I was about to say it then, I was like, it sounds ridiculous. but it is a learned thing of
Yeah.
like, I expect to be obeyed in my house.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
essentially,
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fundamentally what it is. I expect to be obeyed. This is my house. You will respect my authority.
Look at us now, Terry. I expect to be undermined at every angle.
I expect to be occasionally involved in the decision making.
Steady on.
That's good enough
Steady
for me.
on.
Yeah. Considered
Yeah,
in the
okay.
decision making. Not involved, considered in the decision making.
What this does over time, right? So all of this inherited, or let's say authoritarian parenting approach, it's been inherited from society and from our own, parenting role models. And you try and implement that in the early days, and that is not working. And the ego gets involved and pride gets involved, and then you end up being exasperated. And what happens then is that very often, and it depends how deeply entrenched that is and how willing the dad is to unlearn that.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
what that can lead to ultimately is a disparity in parenting styles.
Yeah.
Where you've got the mum doing the gentle parenting stuff and the dad trying to do the other thing that doesn't work and getting exasperated. And then you've got the good cop, bad cop situation, which is never a healthy thing. And as we've said, neurodivergent kids don't respond well to that traditional discipline. Raised voices are overwhelming and dysregulating to them, which will ramp them up even more.
Yeah.
Like implementing consequences without explaining. That sort of, like just do it because I said so. They need that reasoning. They need
Because
the
I said
understanding.
so
Sweet Jesus.
That's not a thing.
Yeah.
If we examine that ourselves, that's not a good enough reason. If someone told me to do something that I didn't want to do and they said, because I said so, I'd be like, well, I say no.
Yeah,
so...
but okay, loads of parents of neurotypical kids, that's perfectly acceptable.
Neurodivergent children don't see you as their parent as an authority figure. You are a peer.
Yeah.
You are their peer. There's a degree of deference there because you know what you're talking about to some degree. But why would they defer to what you want? You're on the same sort of authority level as one of their friends or their sibling.
Yeah. It's like a colleague. It's like a colleague
it's
telling you to go make him a cup of tea. It's like,
I'm like, well,
you make your own, mate.
Yeah, it's like, it depends how you ask me. Do you know what I mean?
It's
not like, there is no degree of I'll do that because you're my dad or you're my mum. There is I'll do that if you're nice to me and I feel like doing it.
Yeah, and PDA has a big part to play in that. So one of the one of the factors of PDA and one of the things that really helped me to kind of understand Jay was PDA was I was reading a book about it and it said one of the signifiers of kids who have PDA is, do they consider themselves as children? And I thought it was a ridiculous question at first. And then I was like, I don't think that Jay does. Like he doesn't think of himself as a child. He considers himself as a small adult.
I don't even think he's that. I think they just consider themselves a person. There is nothing else. They're just a person. You're a person. The age is irrelevant.
Yeah, but the thing is, he sees the other two, his younger siblings, as children.
Oh, he does.
Yeah. So he doesn't recognise authority above, but he's quite keen on enforcing it below.
Yeah. I recognise no authority but my own.
That is very true.
Yeah. Outstanding. Yeah, of course. Oh, that's funny. I'm not a child. They're children.
Yeah,
look
exactly.
At them.
Look at the
They're
fucking
basically
idiots.
animals. They're feral. I'm not like them.
So what happens when there's this disparity in parenting styles? I'm trying to bring it back, right?
Sorry.
No. Fine.
Sorry, I wandered off. I
love the
it was
tangents.
too funny.
That's what I'm here for, the tangents. So what happens is that then it almost becomes a feedback loop when you've got this disparity in parenting styles where the mum understands that gentle parenting and not implementing a hierarchy to things works, and when the dad is doing stuff, doesn't do that, so escalates things, and then the kids get dysregulated and the dad gets more frustrated and then rolls his eyes or shouts or does whatever. The child dysregulates further. What happens typically then is the mum has to step in. The mum has to calm everyone down, send the dad out, take the child to one side, soothe, regulate, and just kind of almost become a translator between the child and the dad, because they've spent all of that time, right?
Yeah, and they've learned the skills that are that are required to regulate that. And like you say, it's like with dad sort of not picking up on it and trying to sort of brute force my way or the highway,
Yeah, yeah.
you are making things worse for yourself. And worse than that, you're, you know, your wife's coming home, you're like, hello, darling, I've set fire to everything. And
Over to you.
I'm on fire as well. And I'm so glad you're here. You've got to put us all
Yeah.
out and save everything. It's like, that's a lot of mental load
Yeah.
for someone who's already
On the fucking
under a
edge.
lot of
Yeah.
under a lot of strain, to just be like, everything's broken and it's my fault, but can you fix it all?
Yeah. So the mum steps in and translates the situation, de-escalates the situation. What happens then is the dad feels shit. Because it's like you either feels undermined or sidelined or like, no one's listening to me. I might as well not be it. You know, like all of that kind of the wounded pride a little bit. It's like, and also that like, what I'm doing's not fucking working, and I'm trying. I mean, I am trying. I'm trying to do what I know best, and it's not working. So they almost sort of withdraw a little bit.
Yes, and you know, there is, you know, it is something that you can see why.
Oh, absolutely,
They've done the thing they thought was the thing to do. They've made it worse. Then they've had to be rescued from that situation.
Oh, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, for some men that doesn't sit well.
Yeah.
And again, that is a learned thing. That doesn't sit well. They've had to be rescued, and then everything's been made worse because of that, because they were unable to do their job. Essentially, they're unable to do the parent thing, and they feel sidelined and sort of guilty and a bit ashamed, I would say, probably as well, that they did their thing, they did their best, and not only was it not good enough, it actually made it worse. And like I say, and then what can you do in that situation apart from, this situation is better when I'm not involved in it?
Yeah.
That's the fundamental output of that.
And the mums and the kids can't disagree either.
No, of course they can't. They can't. The evidence is there, staring them in the face. When I was here, getting involved, everything got worse. You stepped in, took over, everything's better. The obvious thing to do for the benefit of all of us is for me to stay out of it.
But that makes everyone feel shit. That makes the dad feel shit. Yeah. That makes the mum who is looking, who, you know, is doing so much of the work. And as you say, so much of the mental load, looking for just some fucking respite. Take them for like an hour. Let me just go for a walk around the block, or, you know, or not even that. Let me put the washing out without having to handle children at the same time.
To deal with this,
you know, just give me that moment. And when that turns to shit, the mum feels bad, the kids feel bad, and it's, you know, it can be really bad. Now, it didn't get to that stage in my household. No. I think because I'd seen more evidence early on. It didn't sort of snowball into that dynamic. I was like, okay, I see what was going on. But there was a definite turning point for me. There was a moment where I was like, I need to get more involved here because I'm playing catch up. And Jay was being, how I perceived, particularly defiant. I tried Naughty Corner, Terry. Have you ever tried Naughty Corner?
I think we had a naughty step.
Fuck, yeah, that kind
briefly.
Of thing. Oh, yeah. God, that was an absolute shit show, because I was like, well, this is what you're supposed to do, right? And again, it's that authoritarian.
I've seen this on the telly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basically like a small jail. It's a small version of going to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
and they will learn. They will never reoffend, right?
No. Prison always works.
Yeah, exactly. So I then sort of go, the logic was you'd go into Naughty Corner for a minute for every
number
year.
Of minutes for every year.
For every year old, right? Okay.
Yep.
And I think he must have been 4. Yeah, exactly. So then I would say, like, get into Naughty Corner, and but he couldn't stay in Naughty Corner because he's ADHD and also PDA. So, like, me telling him to go Naughty Corner is not going to happen. So he'd just end up escaping. And then I'd have to march him back in. And you're supposed to, like, wordlessly do it. And it was... And I remember doing it for, like, about 17 times at some point. And it's just like, this is, what am I doing? This is not working. At one point, he started...
Who is this for?
He started dancing in Naughty Corner.
You're not supposed to dance in Naughty Corner.
Exactly.
It's for misery and reflection.
Exactly.
It's not for dancing. You're doing it wrong.
This is not a dance of self-reflection.
No. No.
What the fuck? So I remember there was a moment where I physically was holding him. I was restraining him, holding him in Naughty Corner, which, if you look at it, like, I am in Naughty Corner myself. which I think was particularly
Congratulations, you've put yourself in naughty corner. Yes. Yeah.
And he's dancing, and I'm reflecting. So
technically it does work.
Yeah, it does. Just not in the way I expected.
Not in the way I intended. Yeah.
That was a moment for me where there was just like, what the fuck am I doing, and why am I doing this? And I started questioning it. And there was a time, sort of round about that time, where it was evident that Jay much preferred Tam, and I know this because he would tell me every day.
Of course, yeah.
I much prefer Mummy to you, Daddy.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, you sure? You don't want to...
I didn't ask, but okay.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. We already know this, Yes, you said earlier.
You did tell me yesterday. Yep.
Right, any change today, son? No. Okay. No. Right, naughty corner it is then.
Yeah. For me, I'll go and sit there and reflect.
But that's a hard thing to hear, and to also witness it and say, look, he's a different child when he's with Tam, and I'd witness it and go, dude, I've got to do something here. And my relationship with Jay was at rock bottom because we were just locking horns, we were butting heads, and do you know what I mean? I'm a grown up and he's a child. You fucking like locking horns with a child is weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It is, but it's got to, looking back, you've got to cut yourself a little bit. It's like you, and I don't mean this horribly, had no idea what was going on.
No.
You were lost in the woods.
Exactly.
Like, you were in the weeds with it.
Yeah.
Like you say, you're locking horns with a little child over who's the big dog, who's the authority, and what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But you're too far in it. You're too in it at the moment. In the moment,
your ego gets involved, and then it becomes, it's never going to end well.
This is a personal slur against me. That's what it is. Do you know what I mean?
I remember when it sort of struck me, when I really went, oh, he's neurodivergent. And we were just sitting watching TV. Tam and I were watching TV, and Tam had their iPad on, and I think Tam knew that I was now ready for that conversation, because Tam had raised it before and be like, nah, don't see it myself. What do you know?
What are you talking about?
So
what would you know? Spending like literally 13 hours a day with them.
So Tam basically went, what do you reckon to these questions about Jay? And read out these questions. And I'll read them now just because, I think it's important.
Yeah.
Does your child fail to respond to their own name? It's like, yeah. Are they disinterested in giving, sharing, or showing objects of interest? Yeah. Do they have a preference for solitary play? Yes. Do they have difficulty carrying on a reciprocal conversation? Fuck yes. Do they have difficulty recognizing others' emotions, responding appropriately to different social situations, and understanding social relationships? It's like, undoubtedly. Are they fixated on specific topics or objects? Yes, they are. Do they become upset by minor changes in daily routine? Yes, they do. And do they have unusual sensory sensitivities? And that was a massive yes.
Bingo!
Yeah, it was literally like I had never heard my child described as accurately as in those 8 questions. And I'd read loads of parenting books, and I'd listened to podcasts, and I'd done online research and forums and shit. And there was one thing was like, they're describing my child. That's him. And as you probably know, and as many of the Neuroshambles listeners know, they are some of the diagnostic criteria for autism. And that to me was just like, fuck. That was like a holy shit moment of that's him. And I was ready to hear it at that point. And I had that sort of, I don't know if it's unique to me or to other dads have it. Did you have this sort of long, dark night of the soul when you realised that actually... before diagnosis, this is definitely what it is?
Mine was a sort of a creeping erosion of my expectation. That's
a wonderful way of describing it. Yeah.
My expectation of what children were like and what parenting was like. The whole edifice that I had built up entirely in my mind, fabricated entirely in my mind from nonsense. But this edifice that I created of this is what parenting is, this is what being a dad is, this is what being a mum is, and like as you said, a lot of that's based on tropes and roles that are not really conducive to healthy relationships or life. And it had been Lisa sort of saying, I think there's something going on. It's because of this and that. And I'm like, no. And this pillar of salt in a wet wind, it just gradually started to sort of sag and collapse. And this structure that I built up, this sculpture of what it was to be a parent and a dad and a child and all of that sort of thing.
Papier-mâché vision of parenting.
Yeah, of parenting, it started to crumble and it started to break up. And I was like, and I was there and I was trying to shore it up.
Yeah.
My brain was flying in resources of reason and dismissal, and I was trying to patch the cracks that were appearing in this edifice that I created, in this sculpture of parenting, until eventually it had been so undermined by just evidence. By just the world. It butted up against the world and it was found wanting, and it just collapsed away. And actually, I think you might be right. There might be something else going on. And it was such a small admission.
Oh yeah, but to Lisa, how important was that? Like, you know.
Yeah.
Welcome to the party,
you idiots.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah. How long could you have taken to just listen?
Yeah, but you know, so we've got to get there in our own way, I guess.
Unfortunately, it is the erosion of that belief structure, like I say, that we've either had imposed or that we've built ourselves out of our experiences. Like you said, out of the way we were parented, the parenting that we've seen, and sometimes it just has to get.
We have to get there in our own sweet time. So I'm sorry, Tam, that it took it took me a while to catch up.
I've apologised already, but Lisa, I'm very sorry. I'm sorry I didn't believe you straight away.
What happens, I think, and I don't think this is unique to dads, but I think it is worth talking about, is that when that understanding hits, well, certainly for me, there was this period of grief that I went through of like, fuck, oh man, just that understanding, that realization that my kid's going to find life so much harder being neurodivergent, because it was all, you know, I didn't know much about autism, but I knew that the world wasn't really cut out for catering to autistics.
You sort of realise quite quickly that the world is not really built for anyone who isn't neurotypical, who doesn't fit that sort of norm.
Yes.
It's not really built for anyone who doesn't fit that mold.
Yeah. So then there's that grief over that moment of like, oh, they're going to find things so much more difficult. And we are, you know, me and Tam are going to find things so much more difficult. You know, it's going to be much harder for us because we're going to have to make accommodations and we're going to have to fight. Even then I knew that I had no fucking idea how much we would have to fight for accommodations. Jesus Christ. No. Probably for the best at that point. I might not have made the end of the night.
It's not going to be that bad, is it? Can't be that bad. Be all right.
But also, I think there's that grief of that letting go of what you expected your relationship with your child to be and who they were going to be. Because I think as a parent, when you're growing up, you're like, my kid is going to play football and we're going to go to the football together and he's going to be really good at art and he's going to love the theatre and we'll do all of these things. And
I mean, I was more afraid that he was going to like football, but yeah, sure. I get
you have these ideals, I guess, of what you want them to look like, and questioning as well, like, are they going to be able to do that? Is he going to be able to drive? Are they going to leave home? Yeah. Like so many questions. Yeah. That was a really sort of, as I say, a long dark night of the soul that involved a lot of whiskey and a shitload of thinking.
I think you're right. There is a period of grief. It's like you're standing at the foot of that statue that's collapsed, that monument you built to how you thought, to what you thought parenting was going to be, what you thought the future was going to be.
Yeah.
And standing in the rubble of that monument is hard.
Yeah. That's a really good way of putting it.
It is hard. You are standing in the ruin of what you thought was going to be. But there is a different monument. There's a new one. There's one that you hadn't even considered.
Well, you get to
beyond it.
build your own, right? This is the thing that we've
That's
kind of
it,
learned,
that's
right?
it,
It was like,
yeah,
okay, well,
yeah.
we've got this, and so let's see what we can
Yeah.
build from it.
And it's perfectly fine to grieve that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important to grieve that. And I think it's,
Yeah.
you know, I just wonder if the grief is slightly different for dads because of societal expectation and the roles, the gender stereotypes that we've adopted. There is this sort of this hardwired need to stay strong, right? To not show vulnerability or emotion
To be the rock.
sometimes,
Yeah.
to be the rock. And so if you let in that tiny little hint of doubt or grief or sadness or self-pity, then you're not fulfilling that role, and it all, as you say, sort of kind of comes crumbling down a little bit.
But again, it's that sort of, for me anyway, it was that I'm now of the realization everybody is struggling, and I have not been here for it. I can't now afford to not be here because I'm suffering with it.
Yeah.
Because they've been without my support for so long. It's not an option. I missed my opportunity to be emotional about it. I've missed that because I didn't accept it. So now I can't do it. I've got to just get on with it for them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what is also slightly difficult, I think, is that the mums have a support network.
Usually, yeah.
Very rarely do dads have a network of dads that they can discuss that things with. So firstly, I think a lot of men find it difficult to talk to other men about things like this. But also you're not going to walk up to another dad on the playground and go, dude, I'm fucking crumbling here. You know, I'm falling to pieces.
Yeah. It's something that you're taught. Men don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm now, I make a podcast about the very, about that very thing. So I'm fine with it. I'm more than fine with it. But I think initially it was not an easy thing to admit, to feel vulnerable, I guess.
No.
And I think that's true of a lot of dads.
Absolutely. Everything we're taught is don't be that. Don't be that. Don't be vulnerable.
But what I would say to any dads listening is that there are dads groups out there, you know, dads of neurodivergent kids. There's a Facebook group that I'm part of, which is Dads of Neurodivergent Kids, which is a place for them to vent and ask questions and, you know, share lighthearted stuff as well, which I think is, you know, it's quite nice to have a uniquely male space for that. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes if any other dads want to take part in that. There's also some local groups as well. And it's not like a support group. Do you know what I mean? It's not like Alcoholics Anonymous where you'll sit around and sort of. It's basically.
Hi, my name's Terry.
Yeah, exactly.
And
And my child called me an idiot again. But it's basically like you can have. I think there are online meetups, but also in-person meetups where you could just go and have a beer and a pizza and just chat to other dads who are going through it. And I think that's really valuable to people who need that place to share that kind of thing. Absolutely. I think it's really good. So what happened once I'd sort of reached that sort of my lowest ebb of realizing that he's neurodivergent? And as you were saying, just sort of, I haven't been there. Haven't been really helping because I've not really been acknowledging it. But now, okay, here I am. I went overtime in terms of research. It was like, well, I don't know anything about autism, really. What I thought I knew about autism was like from Rain Man and Forrest Gump. Right? Yeah. It's one of the two. He doesn't look like either, so of course he can't be autistic. He makes eye contact and he's very articulate and all of that, right?
I think that is again something that you just pick up from society.
Yeah.
Autistic people are this. They're Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. So I chucked a bunch of toothpicks on the floor. He couldn't count them. He's obviously not autistic.
I tested him.
It's just like, I tested him. I've done a test. What are you talking about?
He was rubbish.
Paediatrician.
He was 4 sticks out.
He took ages. The guy in the film did it just like that.
So I had to educate myself about autism and what it and how it presents, and specifically how it presents in each of my children, because they have so many different facets. Some things they might find challenging, some things they might be super good at. You know, they might have sensory processing issues, they might have social issues, they might hate eye contact, they might be terrified of like the feel of certain fabrics. It's really building up. I spent a lot of research and listened to podcasts and read books and articles, just building up my understanding of why my child was the way my child was. And it's really important, I think, for the dads to do that, because the mums have already done that shit, right? We're playing catch up typically in a typical situation. And what happens when the mums do all of that shit is that they become the expert and you then defer to them. And it's really important that you're both on the same page.
Again, because it reduces the load on them.
Yeah.
Because if you both know it, they haven't got to tell you. If you don't know it, they're having to explain it to you, might as well do it.
Yeah.
So having to explain the thing to you, as well as having to actually deal with the thing, is twice as much work. And then, again, you get left out of it if you're...
And it cements that disparity in your parenting style. So that's what I did. I just immersed myself in it. There was a particular book that I read, which I've mentioned multiple times on this podcast, but I'm going to mention it again because it was like a massive light bulb moment for me, was The Explosive Child by Ross W. Green, with an E, PhD. And that was huge for me because it really helped me understand that the reason for Jay's behavior was not because he was being naughty or defiant, is fundamentally that I had expectations of him that he wasn't able to meet. He didn't have those skills. And that was a huge moment for me because it really changed the way that I viewed his behavior, which meant that I wasn't getting kind of hurt by this refusal to respect my authority. So that was a book that I read. I'm sure there are others.
Obviously Lisa bought all the, I can't even remember all of them. She'd bought reams of books. She'd found resources online, all this sort of thing. So she was already there with it. And she passed a bunch of those things to me, and I read here and there. I read bits of stuff here and there. It's important to have a baseline understanding of what neurodivergence means, what autism means, what the varying sort of facets of that kaleidoscope are.
Yes.
It's good to have that baseline of understanding, but then the real work begins with you using some of that and learning about which bits of that are your child.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do those facets all fit together to make your child?
And I think crucially, the thing that helps more than anything is understanding your child. And if you've got two people doing the research and going, I noticed this thing today, do you think it could be this? And I've noticed that this happens when I take him out of the house. And you swap notes, but you start to this disparity in parenting styles starts to coalesce and converge and become more unified. And I think equal partnering, or sort of at least being on the same page, because with the acknowledgement that the dads are typically going to have to go to work more and not be able to spend as much time with their kids and doing that, and maybe doing some of the research, but at least discussing it and sharing it and being open to these ideas.
That's it. Being open to it. That's the thing.
Is the really important
thing.
Being
open to it.
Because you then are parenting on the same page. That is consistency is so important for our neurodivergent kids. Absolutely. Of knowing how people are going to respond, knowing that their parents are safe and consistent and predictable, so that they feel safe and nurtured, and that their home is a safe place. If they come back and one person's parenting in one way and one person's parenting another, and everything is up in the air and unpredictable, it's not a safe space for them. Then they're not going to be able to be authentic and unmask.
And it's that ability to unmask, like you say, in safety, where they know what the consequences are to things. It is a much more conducive space to learn about how the world is and how the world is going to interact with them, because they can face a disruption or a minor thing, or they can learn about a new type of food in a really safe space where they can process those emotions, and they can be assisted in processing those emotions about whatever the thing is, to help them with the world generally. Because that's something that they eventually have to face to a degree, is the fact that the world is quite a chaotic place. So being able to sort of allow them to learn in that space where it's safe and they know the outcomes and they know the consequences, they know everything. The structure is rigid and knowable, understandable.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for them to process the things that are, a bit more wobbly.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that made the biggest difference to me as a dad of a neurodivergent kid is just practice. It's just doing it. It's just spending time with your kids, because it does, I think, in the early days, it is tempting to just opt out and leave it to mum, because mum has those strategies and has learned from the mistakes. And I don't want to make mistakes. I don't want to get things wrong and make things worse. So it's easy to then retreat into your traditional parenting role of, the breadwinner versus the caregiver, which is...
It's impossible to overstate the importance of turning up.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. So rather than assume that your relationship is unsalvageable, which is tempting to think, it's just practice, I think, because with practice, spending more time around your kids and also spending more time around other kids as well, because the more you see their differences from other kids, the more you start to piece things together and go, oh, well, here are the things that they find challenging. Here are the things that they're not yet able to do. These are the expectations I have of my child that aren't, they're not there yet. So I built that up over time of just spending more and more time with their kids.
And it can be daunting. I think it's
it really is.
It can be daunting when you sort of have that realization and go, oh, okay, right, I'm going to have to get stuck in it. It can be daunting to see the sort of the mountain that you've got to climb to get to where your spouse already is.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say, like, it is hard. There's no point trying to sort of cross over that. It is hard, but it gets easier every day. The hard part is doing it every day.
Well, it's like on the job training, isn't it? Basically, your first day, you're gonna make mistakes. I mean, like, if
take on.
So if you're a dad that hasn't actually had that much kind of hands-on experience solo parenting, solo parenting your neurodivergent kids, it will 100% be an absolute shit show the first time round. Strap in. Absolutely. Deal with it. Everyone's going to be crying by the end of it. It's part of the learning process. Exactly. It's part of the learning process. But you learn and you understand more from it, and it's a case of just building up that
That's
time.
The time to apply all of the sort of vaguely toxic masculinity stuff of like just being strong and getting through it. You just got to get through it. You got to go to that. You got to go to that soft play. You got to take them there.
Stick your chest out. Through it. Stiff up a lip.
Now's your time, son. Now's your time to shine.
That is how you truly man up.
That is how you man up. Yeah, you get through that session at the soft play, you come out the other side a different person than you went in. I'll tell you that.
But over time, you learn more about your kids and you learn more about their neurotype, and I think that's really important. And also, it's worth saying, I think mums have a role to play here too, because I think sometimes mums don't want to see everyone failing at something. So I think they might jump in. Some mums might jump in too early and be like, well, that's not the way. That's not the way that I do it. It's like, well,
no, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to make it worse.
You have thousands of flight hours under your belt.
Yeah.
Yes. This guy's never got off the runway.
But this is my first time behind the controls. That's why we're upside down in a tree.
Yeah. So I think there is an element, and it is,
But it's the flip side of the dad thing, though. Like the dad thing where it's like, well, if I get involved, everything's worse. So why would I get involved?
Yes.
The obvious thing to do is just stay out of it, because when I stay out of it, everything's better. It's the flip side of that. It's the mom's like, I know how to deal with this, and I'm watching you struggle. I'm standing on the pier watching you drown, and I'm just sort of going, you're right. Why wouldn't I get involved and help and stop everyone from crying? But that is important. You've got to learn that
I think, as we've learned from the sort of diagnosis process, men largely need to make their own mistakes and learn by doing. Sometimes I think that's a very man thing of like, I'm not going to ask for directions. I'm just going to keep driving around until I find the location.
There we go. Yes.
So I think there's an element of that. So in terms of like the dads having more hands-on experience, mums, with consent, obviously, it needs to be agreed beforehand, but leave the house. give them some time with the kids to learn and understand.
Again,
And
in a safe environment that they know. And
yeah,
understand.
exactly. And
the dads, that is.
and you will return to a scene that you're probably were not hoping for. You were probably hoping for harmony, and maybe they're all doing some colouring or some reading or some tidying up.
Some colouring may have happened, but it's probably on the walls.
But that's not what you're going to experience. However, don't criticise, don't comment, because it's about learning, right? It's about them learning to, to work it out, I guess. So for the dads, I would say solo parent for a while and send the mum away so there can be no criticism of the way you're doing things and no judgment, and you'll all get through it together. But also don't do anything else. Like, this is your job. This is the one thing that you've got to do. Do you know what I mean? Don't do it while you're working or when we're trying to watch something on TV. Just like, this is your thing. One core bit of advice I'd have to any dads who are just dipping their toe into a little bit more hands-on solo parenting is lean into their special interests. Have you had to, have you done that? Because so your child is almost certainly going to have a special interest, or something that they're really into that you could not give a shit about.
Fiercely excited about. That is just going to be, and it is going to be mind-numbing.
Yes, absolutely.
It is going to be absolutely dreadful. It's going to be on repeat. And it's going to be ghastly. Just go in knowing that. Forewarned is forearmed.
Yeah. But if they're showing you something like that, that's a really important thing to them.
Huge.
They are sharing what they love doing. It's the way of them showing their love. So you just have to lean into it and ask questions about it and show interest. And that is a really quick way of
learn about it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is stuff that is like brain lint.
What's yours? What have you picked up, like accidentally become an expert on?
Okay. Right. So SpongeBob SquarePants. That's Poppy's.
Yeah.
For a very long time. It is still in my Apple Music list. Bearing in mind, I travel a lot for work, right? So I listen to music basically like hours a day. For years. In my all-time songs. All time. SpongeBob SquarePants is still number 4.
I love it. So you're doing the hours though. You know, that's proof, right? That's proof.
That's it, yeah.
If your Spotify playlist isn't absolutely massacred by songs about poo, which is mine.
Yeah. My algorithm was ruined for so long. Finn's interest has moved on to something called Roblox.
Oh yeah.
And we now do a cultural exchange.
Okay.
I have a hobby. I play Warhammer.
Nice.
So we have a cultural exchange.
So you try and get him into D&D and he tries to get you into Roblox.
Yeah, he agrees to play a bit of Warhammer with me, and I agree to play a bit of Roblox with him, and we have this cultural exchange where he shows me how that works and usually beats me and laughs hysterically, and I show him how my thing works. So we have a cultural exchange thing going on now.
Nice.
So I learn about his thing. He pretends to learn about my thing. That's how we do.
It's important, I think. But ultimately, over time, by solo parenting, here's the thing, right? So I solo parent now because Tam and I are separated, right? So half of my time is just me and the kids. And one of the best things to come out of our separation is that my relationship with my kids is like just evolved to this next level. It's really lovely. We're all just sort of this. I've had to learn so much about them and how to regulate them and how they show their joy, and it's just by experience. And I get so much joy out of my kids now, where I think in the early days I was like, fucking hell, this is just a case of strapping in, right? And just getting through it without joy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like early days, like a day out or something, is just I've got 8 hours of endurance test now.
Yes,
that's what it is. I've got an 8-hour endurance test and then I can relax.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Like you say, now you can get some actual joy out.
And it really is. Like, I'm not just saying that for the sake of the podcast. I genuinely have so much fun, and there's a lot of joy. Now I understand my kids and I get them, and it's just experience, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Another of the big things that I had to learn when I understood that my kids were neurodivergent And this is back to the sort of the authoritarian thing of feeling like you need to be the dispenser of justice, the upholder of standards in your house.
Judge, Judy, and executioner.
Right, is lower your fucking standards. Basically, understand that there are a lot of rules that I was trying to enforce that didn't really need to be there. They were sort of inherited, and it's quite.
Why die on that hill?
So many hills that do not need to be died on, and that all in itself becomes liberating when you're like, oh, why do you have to sit at the table while you're eating? Like, I understand that is how I was parented, and I understand that the general population do that. And if you go to a restaurant, they will be eating at a table. But we're not at a restaurant. We're in their safe place at home. Yeah. So me having that constant battle of trying to get them to sit still for ADHD kids who can't sit still, right? Who can't sit down. As soon as I sort of realised there was a thing that I was enforcing out of habit and tradition rather than out of necessity, was just like, oh, I don't have to have that battle. That's amazing. It's
literally pick your battles. When you see something and you go, right, that absolutely not, that must be rectified. Why?
Yeah.
Why does that thing need to be changed from what it is? If the reason is because it should, if there's not a solid reason, fucking leave it. Just
which is it's quite a weird shift to have to do, I think,
because you don't ever confront it. You don't ever confront
it's inherited.
Why you're doing some of the things that you do. Why are we behaving in this way? Why are we doing this action this way? You just don't ever confront it. So having to confront it and go, why am I having this argument?
Yeah. So
why am I angry about this? What's the point?
A very subtle shift happens from authority to almost curiosity. So instead of going, get down from that table, stop standing on the table, of like, why are you standing on that table?
Yeah.
Can I ask,
what are you doing?
What's the plan here? It's my favourite question. What's your plan? Because because it gets them to reflect on what the fuck they're doing. And very often they've got a plan that you haven't, you have no idea what that plan is. So sometimes their answers can be hilarious and eye-opening. And they will give, in itself, it will give you a little insight into how their brain works. And ultimately, who cares if they're standing on the table? Do you know what I mean? Just give it a wipe afterwards if you're going to eat your dinner off it. But typically, we've already established, they're not eating their dinner off it anyway. They're walking around with bits of cucumber flying out their mouth. Yeah. So, questioning the rules that you're enforcing is a big one.
Yeah, just before you get into a fight about something, just why?
Is this a hill worth dying on? Take a moment.
Why am I doing this? Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing that I would say is important, and this has taken me a lot longer to pick up than it probably should have done, is the importance of...
You can apply that to everything.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. The importance of repairing relationships with your neurodivergent kids when it all goes to shit. Because you will fuck up. Everyone fucks up. I fuck up. Tam fucks up. I'm pretty sure you fuck up, Terry.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Lisa fucks up.
I didn't want to admit it because I am pretty cool, but yes.
Yeah, we make mistakes. Yeah. We get it wrong. Yeah. We blow up at a time when it makes matters worse because we cannot, follow our own advice all the time. Sometimes you're overwhelmed as well, and things will go to shit, and you will react in the wrong way and make matters worse. And it's really important to reflect on that and not to be too proud to apologise, even if they've said some really hurtful shit, by the way, which can sometimes be quite hard, to model that sort of apology and afterwards and go, you know what? That was quite a lot for me. That noise you were making right in my ear as I was trying to work was quite a lot for me, and I got quite overwhelmed, and so I reacted in a way that I probably shouldn't have done. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, but I'm in charge. Why should I apologize to a child?
Yeah.
It's like, because you did something wrong. And how are they going to learn to apologize when they do something wrong if you don't?
I wouldn't say wrong, but it would, like, you did
wrong.
You did something that was not helpful in the situation.
Yes, yeah. You reacted poorly, and if you model compassion, that helps them to learn.
It does. And actually, because I know, particularly my kids, have an incredibly keen sense of justice. So if they feel like they've been wronged, and it's quite a neurodivergent trait, I think.
Yes.
If they feel they've been wronged, they will hold on to that shit, and it will, and that can be quite damaging. Whereas if you then go, you know what, my bad, I fucked up. I
was wrong. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it goes a long way to assuaging that sense of injustice.
Yeah, and it's also surprising, I think, for my kids certainly, how quickly they bounce back from that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, fine. Do you want to play a game?" It's like, "Oh, okay," but you told me that I was the worst parent in the world a moment ago.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Yes, I do want to play a game. Let's put it all behind us. So you're not only sort of modeling, as you say, compassion and making things right when they've gone wrong. I find it useful to narrate my own dysregulation because I think it's important for them to know how to do that as well. Of go, you know what, that was too much for me because you were all talking at me at the same time and I'm making 3 separate meals. It was too much for me and I shouted, but it's because I got overwhelmed. I'm sorry. They then learn to explain themselves and understand where regulation plays a part in their own neurotype.
Yeah. That's exactly been my experience as well. Explain what's happening because you know what's going on in your head. No one else does at the best of times, let alone neurodivergent people who may struggle to pick up on more subtle cues that neurotypical people might pick up on.
Yeah,
that would indicate the build up or the what's going on. Mm-hmm. Explaining all that and just laying it all out and like you said. Demonstrate compassion and empathy.
Move on. And then let's put some SpongeBob on.
No. Never again.
It's not all rubbish.
So we'll get onto the positives now, because I think there are positives. I know that there are positives from personal experience. I know that a lot of dads in the early days are on the edge. It's really easy to feel like you're on the outside looking in sometimes and not really knowing what you can do or where you can help, and just to kind of take a back seat almost. And I also know there are loads of mums that are despairing that they're not getting enough support from their co-parent and feel like the mental load is always all on them. And that's a difficult place to be. And I think, it's probably the reason why a lot of parenting partnerships don't make it.
Yeah, there's a massive load to bear. If it's all on one side, that person's going to break.
So it's really important, I think, to try and bridge that gap. The positives are that it is salvageable. It is possible
100%.
To rebuild that dynamic with your child. And once your kid sees both parents are safe and consistent and understanding, things definitely improve. I know they did with me. Once they realize their daddy's on their team, right? He's not just some angry, shouty grump in the background. That makes a massive difference, I think, when they feel safe and they feel seen. So I've got a perfect example of this, of I had a very bumpy start with Jay. And over time, things have massively improved in our relationship, from him telling me that I was the worst parent in the world and that he much preferred Tam than me. And, he said some pretty rough things. But about a year ago, something quite surprising happened in our house, in that we were just me and him in the kitchen. And he got up and he walked over to me and he gave me a hug, completely unprompted. And he said, "I love you. Sorry if I ever make you feel like I don't."
Oh my God.
And if you'd seen where we'd come from, and how that is not it's not an intuitive thing for him to say if you knew Jay, and it's not a natural thing for him to say. But when he said that, it was, Jude. That was a lot. It was but it is possible to get there. Like I say, the contrast between where I was and that was just like, oh man, it's been worth it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and a lot of effort, but it is worth it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
To be fair, he has since gone back to telling me that I'm an idiot.
I mean, I get that on a regular.
Both things can be true, right?
If anything, yeah, they're not mutually exclusive things. I get told I'm a silly grump.
Okay,
even
that's
when
fine.
all I'm saying is something like, take your shoes off before you walk on the carpet, or drink your drink.
Yeah. Again, you're setting the bar too high here. You realise that, right?
Yeah. No, I strive, shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there are positives. Though. It is salvageable. So
100%.
if you're a dad listening to this, if your partner has grabbed you and pointed you in the direction of this podcast because they feel like you might get some sort of benefit from hearing other dads talk about the experiences that we've been through, it is salvageable and it is possible
100%.
to turn it around.
It's just the work.
Yeah, sorry. There are no
day.
shortcuts, but
there isn't. Yeah, if that's what you're here for, you're out of luck. Yeah, there's no shortcut. Roll your sleeves up, get stuck in.
But it is possible.
Neurodiversity Champions.
Okay, Neurodiversity Champions. Now, these are the people or organisations that are doing wonderful things in the world of neurodiversity to champion accommodations for our kids, all the parents. Have you got any Neurodiversity Champions for us, Terry?
Yes, so there's obviously my beautiful wife, who is something of a champion of mine. Certainly my hero.
Absolutely, Lisa Lloyd. She is ASD with a G and T.
ASD with a G and T.
On all of the socials, on TikTok and
all of
Instagram.
the socials, she's all over the place, yeah.
Yeah.
And in bookstores. There you go, darling. I plugged. I plugged your
Two books now. I'll put those in the show notes. But no, Lisa is wonderful and hilarious and insightful and just a
all of the
beacon
above,
of joy
absolutely.
in a rocky landscape sometimes.
Yeah. There's some people that she works quite closely with. There's SAA Clothing.
I've heard of them.
Who are they do they do the sort of clothing that doesn't wind up our children.
Oh, okay, like sensory clothing.
Sensory clothing, yeah. And there's Let Us Learn Too, which is a campaign by parents and carers to sort of stop the fight that families face trying to get support for their kids in education.
So important. And Lisa's part of that.
Movement,
collective.
Yes, that collective movement to just make the government and the local councils just,
up their game.
Our children.
No, thank you.
Up their game is that's the very least.
I'm being as polite as I can.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, no, so that's wicked. I will put a link to those in the show notes. I've got a Neurodiversity Champion as well. There is a dad support group for Amaze Sussex, which is run by a guy called Darren Walker, who is amazing, and he's just so positive and he's so on it in terms of the admin and reminding people of everything that exists. And there's regular meetups in a pub near Brighton, and dads basically get together, and there's a whole group of them, and I've been to a few, and the dads get together over a pint and a pizza and just chat, and they share stories about what's going on for them, and it's just a really lovely, inclusive, welcoming space, as we were saying, sort of having a place for dads to be able to share stuff is really important. So that's really good. And there's also a WhatsApp group as well, where again most of it is just bad dad jokes, but but every now and again they'll
there's no such thing as a bad dad joke.
But they're also sharing I saw this article the other day, this was interesting, or here's a group that you might not know about, or here's a holiday club that is really good for our neurodivergent kids. So again, just a good support group for dads by dads. So I'd wholeheartedly recommend that, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes.
Tiny epic wins.
Okay, tiny epic wins. Now, these are the moments where, for a neurotypical family, it wouldn't seem like a massive deal, but in our neuroshambolic setups, they are epic wins, and it's always worth giving a shout out to those moments. So, have you got any tiny epic wins for us, Terry?
It doesn't seem like a big deal, but Finn now goes to school with, I wouldn't say a spring in his step, but with enthusiasm.
Wow.
Yeah. It seems like such a little thing, but there was a time when he would sob.
Yeah.
all morning.
Which is heartbreaking, isn't it? When that happens, yeah.
Yeah, we'd be dragging it, literally dragging, like handing him over, like we were handing him over to some sort of internment camp. And it was heartbreaking.
Yeah,
and now,
absolutely.
You know, he's like, I'm going to leave the house. I don't want you to look at me. I don't want you to talk to me. I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to go to school. I will not speak to you until I return. It's like, he wants to go. He's getting on well there, but it's just that sort of the shift from that absolute sort of broken sorrow to let's go. It's
a huge thing.
It seems like such a small thing, but it's such a big deal for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, again, parents of neurotypical kids don't even really question it, do they?
No.
You know, their kids just go off to school. Of course, you go to school. I'm going to go to work. I'll see you at the end of the day, guys. It's like, dude, the amount of turmoil and, anxiety that we face with our kids sometimes is horrible. So the fact that he's going in without that is a massive, massive win. Nice one.
What the flip?
Okay, what the flip moments. Now, these are the moments where our children, our wonderfully neurodivergent, spangle-brained children will say or do things that completely bewilder us. And I like to bring them to the podcast and share them with the world. So do you have any what the flip moments for us?
Oh, yes.
Oh, lovely.
I was sitting up in the bedroom. I think I might have been having a cup of tea. I think I was hiding, if I'm completely honest.
I know that.
And the children had been, like, it was one of the rare moments, which is another little win, where they were playing together.
Okay.
And I could hear them I could hear I could hear the screams and calls of them playing downstairs. My son comes barreling into the room. I hear him up the stairs. Bum, 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 smashes into the room, screaming, but like not genuine terror, but also sort of excitement.
Yeah.
Comes running into the room, screaming, trying to find somewhere to hide. And then he slams the door behind him. Moments later, my daughter literally, bear in mind, she's 8 years old, boots the door open, like straightforward kick, boots the door open, it swings back on its hinges, slams into the box behind it, and she strides into the room and calls out, I am the testicle chicken, and I am here for your butt cheeks. I was stunned into silence.
What do you do at that point? It's just like,
I have no idea where that came from, where she heard any of those words, or what the game was that involved that character. No idea.
Oh man. Yeah.
Like, and it was just everything stopped as soon as she said that, and I was like, I have no idea how to
just kind of quietly slip out of the room at that point and go, he's over there.
I'm just going to go back to reading my thing. I'm just going to pretend none of that happened.
You crack on, testicle chicken is behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm not even going to, I'm not doing this one.
I've got a couple of what the flip moments.
Yeah, go on.
Very, very recently, as in just 2 days ago, I had a great one from Jay where he went, all of my favourite quotes are either from Lao Tzu's The Art of War or it's a strong opener, right?
That's a powerful, right. What an opening sentence.
All of my favourite quotes are either from Lao Tzu's The Art of War or from myself.
Which is right. equally insightful and ageless. So
I said, oh, okay, so which of your own do you like then, Jay? And he went, okay, here's one. If a crab starts tunneling into the ground, don't chase that crab unless it's wronged you.
Words to live by, right?
I mean, it's like, are you sure that's not Lao Tzu?
Yeah. No. I wanted one from you.
It was like quite what scenario you'd find yourself in where a crab has wronged you enough to seek vengeance by tunneling into the ground to find it.
I will have my vengeance.
It was a wonderful moment. Another what the flip moment I had is from India, who, when we had snow very recently, she's not seen that much snow before, so she reacted with absolute wonder, and she ran in and went, Daddy, I don't believe it. This is like heaven threw up. It's like,
that's exactly right. Yeah,
that wasn't what I was getting from it, but
sure.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
Yeah,
I will never look at snow in the same way again.
No. Now it's heaven's vomit.
Nice stuff.
Adds to the magic.
Absolutely. This is probably a good time for me to say that if any listeners have any what the flip moments that you want to share with me, please do. I always love to hear your what the flip moments, and I'll happily read them out on the podcast if you've got any. Feel free to email me at hello@neuroshambles.com, or you can leave a message on the brand new website, which is www.neuroshambles.com. You can either write a message out like all the squares do, or you can leave a voice note, which is technology gone wild. So have a look at that, and it'd be great to hear from people. Okay, that is it for this episode of Neuroshambles. Firstly, Terry, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me
Thank you for having me, mate.
The dad's perspective. It's lovely to talk to another dad about it, and share what's going on for us. So thank you for that. Thank you also to Neuroshambles listeners far and wide for continuing to download and for recommending it, and for all of your lovely reviews. If you want to review it on any of the podcast platforms, it goes a huge way to helping other parents of neurodivergent kids understand that this isn't utter shit. It's actually quite fun in there. So if you could give it a good review, that would be awesome. You can also follow me on the socials on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. That's it for now. All that remains for me to say is have a nice life.